All right, y'all. So we are live and on the other side of social media world. Yes, yes, yes. I'm not even going to do all of the what you call it. They have like this music that you play, when you transition. I ain't even
Mhm.
doing it tonight. I don't feel like being bothered. Partly because I'm just tired. And plus, this is my platform, so I can do what I want.
I
Um,
know that's right.
well, within reason. I am going to make sure that I get us set up. If you are just a technical housekeeping, if you are sharing this on your phone through social media, please make sure that you
I'm not.
turn the volume down like I just had to do so that everybody doesn't hear the feedback. And
Mhm.
and then definitely, Tia, I'm gonna share this on your page if that's okay, and tag
Yes,
Miss Tia in.
that's fine.
And so if anybody wants to tap in from over there, they can know um, how to tap in with how they can watch it from here. Thank y'all for being patient as y'all tagging or logging in for our conversation tonight. So, my name is Tony McNeil, and I am the host and the founder of Anti Black Conversations. It's a platform that was placed on my heart to create. Now it's been about 3 years, and so I got all kind of content up in here, where we have just a variety of conversations with individuals, groups, couples, leaders, clergy, East Coast, West Coast, it don't matter, and we talk about a plethora of issues that just that we experience as a Black community. A lot of times we're unpacking, some of the different nuances that we experience as a people from anti-Blackness. And we also explore and talk about how anti-Blackness impacts us and how we actually operate sometimes from a posturing of anti-Blackness. Last month was National Women's Month, and so in honor of the just honoring women nationally, internationally, all across the globe, I just had a desire to create space to feature the voices of Black women. And with that, I had the thought that there is just something profound and powerful that happens when a Black woman speaks. Man, um, you remember that? I don't know if y'all remember that commercial. It says when E.F. Hutton speaks.
Mhm.
Tia
Nope,
looked up, but I
I don't
can't
remember that
find
one.
it. So
Oh,
what we not gonna do is make fun of how old I am. I said when E.F. Hutton speaks,
Everybody listens.
that part right there,
ah,
everybody.
okay, okay.
So, is there a Black woman? I want you to think of a Black woman that speaks, that when they speak, and I'm gonna have you guys introduce yourself. So, what's a Black woman just at the top of your mind that when she speaks, everybody listens? Tia.
You mean other than like Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey, um, well, my mom. I don't know, like,
Right, right,
yeah,
right.
Right?
Jill Scott, Erica Badu, right? I mean,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
man.
Oh, yes. India Ari, Andy Stone. Don't get me started with the music now. Yeah.
Oh my God. No, for real. Like, and they could be speaking from, they can be speaking in song, they can be speaking, in poetry, they could be speaking in the pulpit, they could be whatever. But when a Black
Hmm.
woman speaks, it
Mhm.
is
Hmm.
something about that when a Black woman speaks, or like when you speak, Tia, you could speak to one of your children, but when you
Mm.
speak, it is something about your words. There's a tone that you can use. There's a posturing.
Mm.
You notice that when, so say one of your babies is unsettled and you need to
Hmm.
calm their spirit when a Black woman speaks.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
special about when a
Yeah.
Black woman speaks. So tonight, I have the privilege and the honor of sharing space with Miss Tia Lynn
Hmm.
Barnes.
Yes.
And
For
my
almost 10 years
special.
now. Barnes. Yes.
Okay, look, I'm trying. We love you, Jen. We see you.
Okay.
We know you. She not a turn. Look, you didn't take her last name.
See? Right.
And I also have Miss Wanda from Full Circle Radio, who is going to be co-facilitating or co-hosting with me tonight. And so let me just have you guys, Tia, introduce yourself. Who are you? Where do you hail from? And just like, how would you describe yourself?
Oh, well, I am Tia Barnes. I live in the Valley, Stockton, California. When you say who am I'd be like nobody special. I'm just, I'm in and out, and I do. Well, I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that question. Who am I? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just me. I don't know how to explain that particularly. Uh, I like to pretend like I'm an artist. I'm currently writing my first or second book. I haven't published any of them though. That's what's wild about it. I work for the state. I own a barbershop and a salon. Mother of 6 children now. So I'm a lot of things to a lot of people.
But you did
My
say
parents.
nobody special. Is that what she said? She said she ain't nobody special.
Said,
She said she
Yes,
owns
it
a
is.
salon and a barbershop. She said
Right?
the mother of 6 children. She
Hmm.
said she done wrote 2 books. That's what she said, right?
That's what she said.
And she worked for the state. That's what she said.
But I ain't nobody
You
special.
did.
And she been married to the same dude for 10 years. And she been married to the same dude for 10 years. I think I was married to the same dude for 10 minutes. So I'm just saying. And that made me hella special.
Okay.
It's like,
See? Okay.
we keeping it real. I mean, tonight I'm
Oh,
drinking tea,
man.
y'all, but
Yeah.
tonight I probably should have had some wine.
Okay. See? I was gonna ask if I could bring some out, but I'm a
Yes.
leader.
Now, look, girl, if you need to go and get some
Oh
wine and
yes,
bring
because
your
that's
glass,
right. We do the
yes.
See, no, I'm gonna be good today. That's right. My husband and I also do the wine or wine not, the online wine tasting reviews and stuff along those lines every once in a while.
Nice.
Just fun stuff. Wherever the
Very
wind
good.
takes me, that's where I am.
Mm-hmm.
I
Nobody
love that.
special. She's just an extraordinary gal named Tia, who rode a motorcycle, by the way, to and from work.
Just
Oh
keep
yeah.
piling it on, right? To the nobody special, right? Oh, I'm
In
just
the
this,
cowboy hat.
and I'm just this, and I'm just this, and I'm
Right.
just this. I done lost. Look, I done used up all my fingers trying to figure out all the things you're just.
Right. In a cowboy hat with the beatbox earrings on.
Which I have those
See?
earrings too, so
Yeah.
I'm totally
I
vibing
love
with
these.
you on that. I have those
Yes.
earrings.
Mhm. Yeah. I wish I
Oh
had
my
her
God.
card with me. That girl, she is phenomenal. The lady, I met her on Facebook actually and started doing business with her, or purchasing all the unique earrings. So yeah, she's awesome.
So, Miss Wanda, I'm not trying to have you try to keep up with Miss Tia Lynn, but can you just introduce yourself?
I'm just Miss Wanda. Look, I can't keep up with all that. I got rid of the dude I was married to. Look.
I can do bad by myself.
See?
Yeah. I don't need no help. Stop to death. That was my theme song.
See?
Hey.
You sure it's just tea in that cup? Like with
See? Right.
Who it is?
Oh man.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, y'all don't know. I promise you.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
look, for real. So tonight we are having a conversation, and the theme of our conversations is centered around when a Black woman speaks. It is something powerful about when a Black woman speaks. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's a series that I've been holding space every week. I'm having a conversation with just another extraordinary woman.
Mhm.
Extraordinary. What
Ordinary.
makes
Yeah.
you, Tia, extraordinary?
Um, I think possibly the ability to put a silver lining on it. That's what most of my friends and family call me, is Miss Silver Lining. Whatever comes up or whatever is happening, they're like, Tia, bring it to me. They'll call, we'll talk about it or whatnot. But they're like, you'll always find the silver lining in whatever it is. So if I had to pick one, it'd be that.
Well, I don't think that makes you extraordinary. I think that makes you
Okay.
extraordinary.
Oh, Lord. Ordinary. I don't know. I go to work every day.
Okay, so you
I
got a
go to
regular
work every
job.
day. Got a regular job. I come home and I do 30 loads of laundry, cook dinner, do it again the next day. Like,
She said 30 loads of
ordinary.
laundry. Good
I was
Lord.
not even exaggerating. Not on a daily basis, but like on a weekly basis. Yeah, probably.
My God. Yeah, that part right there, I wouldn't even. Well, let me stop lying because I have 4 kids, and so, oh my
Exactly.
God,
You
and we
know.
want to talk about the worst thing in the world. What's the worst thing in the world with having over one child, more than one child? Not having a washing machine.
Yeah. 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 Ours is
Oh
currently
my God.
broken at this point. So yeah. But that's when you gather the children. I'm my right now at home. I have my 11-year-old and my 7-year-old, and I say it's laundry day. We throw all of everything down, and it fills our entryway of our home. And then we throw it in the car. We take it to the laundromat, and they help me knock all of it out. We almost use every washing machine in the place, and all the dryers, and yeah, get it done. So,
No, you're right. You're right. So, okay, let's get into some dialogue here. Let's find out what makes you an extraordinary woman who has
ordinary.
experienced some
Mhm.
extraordinary circumstances. So,
Mhm.
as we're going through what we've been doing, and I'm going to stay kind of consistent with that. Tell us about Tia, the little girl. Like,
Mm-hmm.
tell us about
Oh,
what were you like?
I was an absolute crybaby and extremely bubbly. I was always the very, very tall, very, very big child in my class. Yeah, I
Mm,
jokester. I loved to, you know, do all of the cap battles and all of that fun stuff with kids. But that was pretty much me. Extremely naive. Um, I feel like a very sheltered life. So, um, but yeah, that was it. Love Barbie dolls and yeah, all of the every glitter and rainbows. That was me.
okay, so were you an only child? Uh, like,
I
were you the
have
firstborn?
I had an older brother. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he was about four. My brother was 4 years older than I, and he and I did not get along at all, at all.
Tia.
So he still wanted to be an only child, and I messed that up. So okay. Okay.
No,
That
for
didn't
real?
fix
Like,
until we were both adults. Yeah, like no exaggerating. But yeah, so when we both were adults, then all of that subsided. But other than that, it was a battle, 24 hours, 7 days a week.
oh my
I told
God,
you I was
isn't it?
clingy and everything else. All of the you have never met my brother, but he has never been the let's hug or be close or affectionate type, and that is all of what Tia is. And so that was there more like, yes, hi sister, go away. That so we worked it out.
Lord have mercy. So you were the crybaby, you were clingy, did people see you as that? I mean, would they have said and described you that way to you?
Well, that's how they tell me today. So I can
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, did you come from a two-parent home, single-parent home? Were you
Mm.
raised with your parents? Like, what was that like?
Two, got you. Two-parent home. My mother and father is a bishop and Lady Trina from Victory in Praise Church. And I lived with them. That was my like lots of church, all the time church. That was my childhood.
Even from a little girl, you were, well, I mean, he wasn't the bishop while you were a little girl, right?
No, no, we moved out here when I was say about 11 or so. And then
Okay.
that's when we started the church. But even as a little girl, they were still very much so into church. They were performing a lot with their musical group, Heirs to the Throne. So I spent a lot of time at midnight musicals and other church services, our church service, and then we're visiting this person's church service, and we're going out of town for another church service, and then there's a revival. Yeah, so that was that was my childhood.
So was that just kind of normal to you? It didn't seem abnormal.
Right, because all I knew was the church, and so therefore all I knew were church children. So that did seem absolutely, the norm.
I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, and I don't mean to laugh. It's just okay. All you knew were church children, so you didn't have like
yeah.
normal children friends, just the church children friends.
Mm, not particular, especially before we moved out to out here to Stockton. I remember having maybe one friend that happened to be a neighbor, but I don't know how often I actually got to go and hang out and spend time with them because we were like never home.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so I've have had a hard time making or connecting or long lasting or deep friendships at the younger age. It was very much so on the surface. Are we best friends? Yes, and now we're not. Okay, you know. So that was my childhood, just keeping it very shallow, relationship wise.
Okay. And so let me see. Any questions or anything that you're curious about, Miss Wanda? Because you don't know Tia. I know her, so it's hard for Tia to tell me about her because you just assume I know.
Well,
Well,
I
you
found
know
it
everything. Yeah.
interesting that you as a kid you kept your relationship shallow. Did you guys move around a
Mhm.
lot, or what was the basis for that? I think that's an interesting, because usually kids are like, you're my best friend and that's it. But to hear you
Right.
say that you had your relationships kind of shallow, that's interesting. It stuck out to
Hmm.
me.
Um, I think I just didn't spend a lot of time with the public, so I didn't really know how to interact and communicate with them.
Mm,
I was
that
either
makes sense.
with my grandmother, which was with all
Hmm.
of my cousins or whatnot, or with the church
Hmm.
people, or I'm at home with my brother. There was not much outside of going to school, and then when you're at school, you're not allowed to really, talk and communicate except for
Yeah,
on the playground. I don't think I
got
really blossomed as into having more consistent friendships and relationships until I moved out here and did like the middle school age, high school age type of a deal. And I don't think I really had that much of a choice on that one. We moved out here. I was in the second grade, and they just opened up the elementary school in Western Ranch. And so I went to school with these same people from the second grade, and we graduated high school together. So that was really the only time outside of the church people that I had people that was consistent in my
yeah.
life, that lived by me, went to school with me, and then that's when that all changed for me.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And you were able
Yeah,
to develop like deeper friendships because now you're spending
right,
time with people and are able to
right,
develop. Yeah, absolutely.
exactly,
Yeah, I
exactly.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So you said
Oh
that
yeah,
you moved out here at about 11. And so what was
yeah.
that
I
like?
think somewhere around.
Was that what kind of change was that or transition was that for you?
I didn't really have any ties to the Bay Area, so it was like, okay, yeah, we're just moving here. We moved in to Western Ranch when there weren't really that many houses or anything, so it was just like a bunch of fields to ride my bike through, and you know, and all of that fun stuff. So I was excited to climb the trees and and have the open space But I wasn't sad to leave, and because I didn't get to go anywhere but church and home, so I just moved. That's all.
Well, so Tia, just curious then. So you then I don't want to say typical, but I want to say then maybe
Mhm.
stereotypical. So it sounds to me
Okay.
what you're describing is the stereotypical church girl.
Hmm. Pretty much.
Um,
Yeah.
that it's like this all I know, and this the normal,
Hmm.
and this is the norm, or what have you. And so then
Right.
maybe kind of sheltered
Yes. Absolutely sheltered. Absolutely.
would so then
There are
would
still
that
things I'm
so
learning now that I did.
okay.
Yeah, that I had no clue about. And I'll go about something or I'll say something to my group of friends or whatever, and they're looking like, no, Tia, that wasn't, the norm. And I'm like, oh, why don't you just go and do A, B, and C? And they're like, who does that? I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
all right. But yes, because I didn't know. I didn't have the experience of especially living in the Bay Area, you're taking the buses here or there or going to hang
Mhm.
out at the malls and all of that stuff or whatever. That just wasn't part of my upbringing. I didn't miss it. I didn't know anything about it at all whatsoever until I got, out here and older. So,
So when do you
so sheltered but
when
not
do you,
trapped. Let's just
right, and
That's
you know
good.
what? Okay, and
That's good.
I
yeah.
want to say unpack that a little bit, because that's also something, and that isn't that that's why I said
Hmm.
stereotypical. However, there are some things
Hmm.
that people assume that when you're sheltered, because sheltered isn't a bad thing. Sheltered means that
Hmm.
you were very well loved, very taken care of, and very well
Right.
covered. Um,
Hmm.
and so,
Absolutely.
which means when you say sheltered but not trapped, say more about that. Why would you want to make sure that someone knows you weren't trapped? You didn't feel trapped.
Right, because well, especially when you're thinking of or talking about the PK or the church children or on everything along those lines, people feel like they missed out on something or they weren't able to do various things, and that's just not the case. I didn't miss it because I didn't know anything about it. Yeah, so it wasn't that I couldn't go. I wouldn't have asked even if I could. I wouldn't have known,
Mhm,
what to do. I was very happy in my little bubble with my mom and dad
mhm.
and my brother.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
had a happy childhood. You grew up happy. You grew up
I
sheltered,
did.
covered, protected, provided for,
Absolutely. Hmm.
and very well
Hmm.
loved. Um, and
Absolutely.
and there was somebody to give you the hugs and the kisses, from
Oh
your clingy self.
yes.
That was
Yes,
outside of your
indeed.
brother that was like, yeah, going somewhere with all that.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
So growing up, who were
Hmm.
you closest to? Your mom or your dad?
Well, my mom. I was closest to my mom. Dad, if I don't know, it was more like if it's not business related or we're trying to complete something, then it was a daddy thing. I am absolutely a daddy's girl, 110% a daddy's girl. But I spent a lot more time with my mom, so I am closer
Mhm.
with her than I am with my father. Yeah.
That's a trip. So I'm a daddy's girl now, late in age, right? I ain't ashamed of it. I'm a 54-year-old daddy's girl. Hi, daddy.
Okay, I get to be that. That's right. Okay. Yes. Mhm.
No, for real. Like, no,
Mhm.
I remember it's probably about 10 years ago. So I'm 54. So we talked about 45 here where I called. And I was like, Daddy, um, do you have like $20? Because I just want to go to the movies. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, it's not important. It's nothing major. I just wanted to go to the movies. And he was like, come on. Nothing. Wanda.
Yeah.
Wrapped.
And I
Right.
still to this day, I'm like, I wish you would. I will tell my daddy. I will
Oh, you
call
real
my
quick.
daddy.
Yes, indeed. Uh-huh.
Car broke down in
Yep.
Vegas, and
Our,
I know my daddy is coming to get me.
see, And speaking of that, I posted a story about recently. I was able to bring my kids and my husband and I. We both took our children out to Disneyland, um, and our car broke down out in LA, and so it broke down all the way, like it's gone. We had to junk it, the whole 9 yards, and so we were kind of stuck out there. And I'm trying to work all of my avenues and do everything on my own because I'm a big girl. I'm a whole grown 39-year-old. I can do this. My husband, we grown. We can we can figure this out on our own. Well, it came to be a point of it, and I'm like, you know what? No, we need to phone a friend, not necessarily for financial, assistance at all whatsoever, because I feel like I am too doggone grown to be asking you, especially after I done blew $1 million at Disneyland. Now that we're done with that, hey, can you pay for this for me? That just doesn't work internally for me. But I know that if I call and I talk to my dad, mom, she'd be like, okay, well, what are we doing? Lay it out. Let's work it out. We're going to navigate this thing or whatever. My dad, I know if I would have asked him, if I would have, my lip quivered. If I would have said daddy in the wrong way, the man probably would have bought me a car. I don't. Okay, just to make sure that I got home. Okay. So you got to know the power that you have, so you know not to use it when you really don't need it. I want to keep that just in case there is an emergency that I really, really cannot handle. I don't want to have, well, Toonie, you already depleted whatever you had on this last thing, and I didn't really need it. So even when I called them, I'm like, hey, mom and dad, okay, so here's our situation. I'm not asking for any money. Put the pocketbook away. Okay. Right. I was able to just, here's what we're dealing with. Let's run through this together, see what we can work out. And they were able to, of course, they stopped and dropped everything, which is an insane thing for my parents to do. I feel like my mom's got like 4 or 5 buku big time jobs with people way more important than Tia that are pulling on her 24 hours, 7 days a week. Same thing for my father. Their schedules are extremely compressed, and so but to be calling and they drop everything. Nope, we're gonna sit and listen. We doing some research and everything along those lines, and then and was able to really help me clear the debris or whatnot, to see a clearer path for us to take to get ourselves home. It was wonderful for me. But yes, absolutely. Mama's girl, daddy's girl, both of them.
That's that comfort and that covering that you had that made you not miss the things of other people, right? That was that community or that covering that you didn't miss the things that were out there because you had you like you said, you were in your bubble. That was your safety. And even though that was cultivated as a kid, you can still feel that now as an adult where it's not a problem. Where some people, end up having strained relationships with their parents. I don't want to ask them for nothing, and pride and all these other things get in the way. Like they cultivated this safety bubble, this, like you said, you were shelter, that like the shelter for you. And that's got to be a beautiful thing, to even now to this day as an adult, as a 39-year-old grown woman,
grown woman.
Having that, still being able to have that is beautiful.
Yes. I think maybe sometimes they think they might have did a little too much or too good of a job, because sometimes maybe I'm a little oversharer, because when I say I talk to my parents about everything, including my father, and he's like, oh, I don't want to hear that. I'm like, no, you're going to sit and listen. Like, there's not a thing. There's not a thing that I hide, and I probably should or whatnot, but they are very open and willing to talk, with me. I don't ever feel like I'm going to get in trouble from, my mom's going to be in trouble. I might make her mad. I don't feel like I am in trouble to the point to where I'm not going to call or talk to them about it. It don't matter what I did. Absolutely, I can talk to my parents about that.
Right. And I love that. And I love this. And this isn't, so for those of you even that are tapped in, this isn't scripted. And so I did not give her a series of questions. So when we come into these conversations, they don't even know. For real, right? They don't know.
Right.
So we're not gonna have no prep, conversations where I'm going to say, "Oh, I'm gonna ask this," and you're going to, and
Right.
then you don't get that list of questions. This is a conversation.
Yeah.
Um, and the reason why I'm lifting that up is because I love the authenticity of this, because it really does help to dispel some of the preconceived notions that a PK, that they're unloved, that they're neglected, that they're this, that they're that. I think that we have done a disservice as a Black community by just placing that narrative. And because we've projected that narrative so heavily in our community, that it's almost like every time, Tia, if you make a mistake, if my children make a mistake, oh, that's because they a PK,
Yeah.
um, yeah, we've really done a
Yeah.
disservice. You can't just be a norm because the narrative says
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
that you're not.
And it.
And what you're, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Knowing that no matter what space I walk into, um, all of those preconceived notions walk in before me anyway. But I mean, I've known that as a child, there isn't really much of anything that I can do that, or everything I do, I should say, does impact, or people look at my parents differently, regardless of what Tia do. And I'm my own person. They can't control. I mean, well, they could. No, they can't. They can't control what what goes on in here and comes out of this here mouth. But knowing that and loving my parents the way that I love them, and them being the most authentic people, still they set the bar so very high. I hear in a lot of PKs, or I talk to other PKs or whatnot, and they tell about their experiences, which were just not mine, even online or whatnot. And they talk about the pastor this or the bishop that. I'll be ready to fight every last one of them. Oh, no matter, not over it, because you're lying, because this is not how this happens in the PK church. This is not what goes on here and there, but that's just not what went on with me. And I am so very grateful. I'm very blessed to know that my parents are, integrity is always number one in our house. So they were never one way, at church, one way at the grocery store, and a whole different way at home, which sometimes that was hard, to deal with, or else also, because I'm sitting here watching my TV show, and it seems like as soon as a cuss word would come on would be right when my parents would walk into the room. What are you watching? Turn it off. And now, I mean, like, that was like, it just said one word. No, it's got to go. So that, I mean, so, ups and downs, but yeah, anytime I come, or they be like, oh, you are a PK. Oh, you're one of them. And I'm like, now, what do you mean by that? Because I don't have the same upbringing as a lot of the other people that are, PKs.
Yeah.
So now let's fast forward. You said you've been married for 10 years. And now I'm asking questions that I already know, right? And so, like, was this your first childhood love,
Oh, no. No, not at all. Actually, this is my.
You ready to go get a drink?
I was married once before. Right. Okay. Good. And I absolutely was a wild teenager. So let's see. Even I had my first son. Let's start that way. Here we go. I had my son when I was 17 years old, which was a whole nother, thing, living in the household that I grew up in. Not so much from my parents, because of course everyone has their initial reaction that your teenage child is coming home and she's pregnant, and you didn't even know that she had ever kissed a boy, like, and so here's that. But I mean, outside of that, yeah, no, they were very shocked, because before Dejan came, I did not have boyfriends. I didn't really hang out with anybody, like nothing. So it was a complete surprise for them that, oh, she actually liked a boy, like, what is going on? but outside of that, then it was everything was loving. This is my child and my grandbaby. There was no let's hide this, or let's push this under the rug, or get rid of the child, or adoption, or nothing, none of that. It was, yay, I have a grandbaby, which is a hard thing to do when you are in ministry and your child is unwed and they are a teenager. And it wasn't from a boy in anybody's church, so there was a whole nother
where you get him from?
Girl. Like, you're from Stockton.
Right. This is what happens when you come to Stockton and you can ride your bike in the fields.
Okay. Right. So yes, very much so. So yes, no, he was not my my high school sweetheart. Once I had my son and dealing with a lot of emotional trauma from being thrown into this type of a situation that I just was not prepared for, and hearing a lot of the hurtful things coming from outside of my home, from my son's father, from all of the other things that was coming on, my self-esteem took a real big dive. And then it was, I'm going to do whatever I feel is fun, healthy or not, or what, it doesn't really matter what's going on. But if I think I'm going to do it, fine. That's what I'm going to do. So I took a self-exploration journey, let's call it that, for a while. Then I got married when I was 23 to a 19-year-old young man. And that ended.
Oh, he was younger than you too?
He was younger than me, yes. He was younger than me. So then I was married to him for a while. He went to jail for a while. I told you I was not into what I should have been into. I was running from all things goody two shoes because I wanted to lose that label. And once I divorced with him is when I married my husband. So, and now 10 years, yay! Yeah, it's a lot.
Right. And I see where the silver lining comes through. So, so was that an easy transition as far as divorce? Was that? Oh, and let me put this up and it's just kind of help us, because now as we're talking, it's how do you keep moving forward? Because you are an extraordinary woman and you have been through some extraordinary things. And so you were married at 23. He was 19.
Yeah.
He wasn't the one. You were 17 and had your first child. By somebody that wasn't from the church, don't even know where you found him or where he found you. Save Jesus. So, you have these things, and you've got the trauma that is coming from those that are outside of your sheltered environment, so the naysayers that have something to say, and so it hits your self-esteem, all of those different things. And so now we hit some hurdles, right? How do you keep moving forward with these particular hurdles? Now I'm talking in your 20s. You're in your 20s.
Yeah. So let's see, with my son coming, that whole thing, I think anger pushed me forward, because now I am 17 years old. I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't like to be told that I don't know what I'm doing. So, so I did what I thought was best, and I'm going to do it despite you or intentionally, so I can show you that I knew what I was talking about, type of a deal. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
But that is what motivated me and pushed me to do that, is to show people that no, I am mature enough, I am strong enough, I am smart enough to raise a human being. But that's So yeah, that for that part. For my divorce and my husband, we were married for, I want to say, about 6 months. Within that time frame, he had moved some of his cousins into our 2 bedroom home on our honeymoon. We came back and they had like destroyed my big screen TV and like ransacked the whole place or whatnot. He was abusive physically himself, and ended up being incarcerated after 6 months of us being married. And then me refusing to fail at this, because marriage should be easy. You just decide that this is what's going to happen, and then you go ahead and you work through that. Kept me married to this incarcerated individual for about 6 years. So we were married for 6 years on paper, but like nothing else. I think that had he had not decided to get transferred over out of state or something, because I was still writing him. I'm still going to go and visit, putting money on the books, the phone call, all of the every, because I'm going to be a supportive wife, because I decided that I was going to be a wife. And you, especially in our religion, you do not divorce. You do not, do any of those things, because then I failed as a wife versus him failing as a husband, being physically abusive and making negative decisions and everything along those lines to lead our lives to where we are.
You ain't gonna skip through that.
No.
Because I failed as a wife, but he didn't fail as a husband. That's a whole conversation in itself. Because I'm not gonna fail as a wife, even though he failed as a husband. Man,
yeah,
that's something. The weight that we even put on ourselves to make sure that we measure up, even if that other individual does not, because who's really looking in that direction anyway?
Yeah. Because it's like, we're going to move forward if I have to carry us to do it, even though you're kicking and screaming while we're in the middle of that. So it took, in my life, I try to live by what I say. That's why I try to be very careful about what I put out in the atmosphere. So with this individual, I told him, because we were still on rocky, terms, if you put in for this transfer, I am done with this relationship. And he put in the transfer, and so I went ahead and processed the paperwork, and went ahead to break it. And it kind of, it sucked for him. I think our divorce was final, I think, a month before he got out. So he had no place to parole to, or anything along those lines. After 6 years of marriage, 6 months of real living together, husband and wife. It was, but it was a big deal. But I said that I was going to do it, and if I say it, I need to do everything that I can to do it. So I ended up go ahead and dissolving that one. Had to write that good old Dear John letter, and I felt like I failed writing it, because now I am a divorced woman, and you cannot, you're not supposed to be a divorced woman. So.
Wow. What I was thinking as you were sharing that too, Tia, it now there are some highs and the lows. There are perks to being sheltered and covered and protected. And then, for my babies, so, somebody said Cavi the toy, and she was like, I've never tried it. And they're saying, it's a drug, but she's like, caviar, right? Like the eggs, those little black eggs.
Yeah.
That's what she's thinking it is, because she wouldn't know no different. because even though her mama was, wilding out and doing some stuff, when I stopped, I made sure that they were so covered and so sheltered that they were actually naive to a lot of the things that were going on outside. And so yeah, I could see then where someone would be able to kind of pull the wool over your eyes in regard to who they are in nature. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
So you were married in your 20s. You have your first child. Do you and your first husband have any children?
We do not. No. Thank you, Lord. No, we do not.
But
So
I
yeah,
wish
I
that I
do
had
have before my
sound
husband.
effect. Then I would push the.
That's right. Okay, that's right. Let's see. So before my husband and I got married, got together, I did have another child. I have an 11-year-old son that is not biological with my husband. Total club baby. I told you I was wilding out. So, the DJ was cute. So, and now I have a son. He and I have no communication. He's never met his son at all whatsoever. He never had a desire to, and he told me while I was pregnant that he did not want to have a relationship with our child, and I said that is fine as long as I never hear that you are denying his existence. I will. I don't want anything from you. And so he went on about his business, and I got married to my husband, and that is the only father figure that my son has ever had or known.
So when you got married to your current husband, you had two boys.
Mm-hmm.
You have the two children. Okay.
Correct.
And so today you have 6 children.
I have 6 now. Yes, my husband and I had 2 together, and my husband came with 3 of his own. So big family immediately. Go from one child, only child for 10 years, to then here's a little brother, and then here's like 9 more kids. No, like almost overnight within a year's time frame. So yeah. Like I said, my husband and I together had 2, Miss Jalen and Mr. Joey. My Joey passed away when he was 2 years old with a tragic accident at the house. Is how we're gonna say that. That was a really hard time. Well, of course, for me, for anybody at all whatsoever. No, I'm gonna share. I ran my baby over. So there's that.
Okay.
I was
There's
leaving.
something.
Yeah.
Hold on before we go. And no, it's okay. We're gonna do this. But remember, I told you that there was an exercise that we were gonna do when we got here.
Okay.
And so Miss Wanda is something that I do. So I'm going to let Miss Wanda help with this one while I help you stay grounded. Okay. So what I do
Okay.
when I'm talking about something that is really, really that I have to unpack, I remind myself where I am today. So I want you to focus on something that helps you stay grounded in where you are today. And I want you to see it. Do you see it?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You see it?
I
Or
do.
you see them or whatever you gotta see. And that's your anchor. That's your
Okay.
anchor. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back somewhere. And as we go back somewhere, it could be tumultuous,
Mm-hmm.
the storm, the waters, all of that, right? But remember, we're
Mm-hmm.
just going back somewhere. But remember, you have an anchor, and
Mm-hmm.
when it's time, we're gonna come back to today. We're gonna come back to right now. We're gonna come
Mm-hmm.
back to where we are, and that anchor is what's gonna help. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So you got your anchor. Now go ahead and share.
Okay. So I was rushing out of the house like we always do, trying to go and grab some ketchup of all things because we were making cheeseburgers for the night. And I left out of the house and I forgot my purse in the home. So I called my eldest daughter to bring it to me. And she sent my middle daughter down with the purse into our garage, and she handed it to me. And I went ahead to start backing the car out. And somehow my baby had snuck out of the house, and he was behind the car, and I backed over him. And we rushed him to the hospital, and he did not make it. there. And so yeah, that's what happened to our little guy.
Miss Wanda?
I think I want to just go back to the question of how do you keep moving forward in the face of guilt?
Yeah, because you can't. I tell people all the time. I had to let go of trying to move forward or continue to be the person that I was before that moment in that day. She died right along with my baby. I'm not her anymore. I don't know how to be her or even tuned into who that person is. I was angry with her still
Sure.
to this day. From that incident, so many things, have come out that I'm still actively trying to work through,
Yeah.
PTSD wise and everything along those lines. I did the grief counseling and the group therapies. I see a counselor still now, to this day, about the issue. I don't do the groups anymore, anything along those lines. That just doesn't work for me. But it is not as if we have a choice to move forward. I gotta tell, I was so mad, hurt, and just, I don't even know how else to describe it. The next day when I woke up and the sun was still out,
Mm,
and air still kept coming into my lungs involuntarily.
yeah.
Especially because of where I am based in religion. Suicide, thank you God, was never a thought or an option or anything along those lines. Because God forbid I decided to go and do something along those lines, that means that I for sure would never see my baby again. So
Yeah.
if I need to continue to push on and live every day until the Lord says that that is enough for me to be able to see my child again, then I guess that's what I'm going to do. So it's like letting today turn into tomorrow, turn into next week. But while I'm doing that, I still have other children and a husband and a mother and a father and everyone else that absolutely would stop their worlds to come and hold and coddle Tia. But I cannot allow them to do that, which made me not be able to do that, which then forced me to continue to move on and find something else. That whole silver lining thing again. I can't have taken your brother from you and then also be the reason why you don't, laugh and have joy,
Mm,
and do things as you continue to do too. I can't do both of those things. Um, so I do everything that I can to continue to encourage my children, my family, everyone else to continue to live and enjoy life. And most of the time, that's by me choosing to live and enjoy life, to find something good, find something fun to do, find some type of way to continue to talk about it. That's another way that we cope with, or I cope with. This is I often talk about Joey, not about the trauma of his passing.
yeah.
We do
Yeah.
not memorialize the date of his passing. We are very much so trying to make that day feel like any other day, and we have designated his birthday the day that we celebrate him and acknowledge how much we miss him. Now, outside of that, throughout the day, every day, when something comes up and we're like, and it reminds us of something that he said or did, because he was too, but he did live a full, he lived a full life. The boy
Mhm.
rode motorcycles. He got to ride on horses, go to the snow, things that people don't do in their entire, adult life, or whatever. He crammed into those 2 years as if he knew he wasn't going to be here, for
Mm,
very long. I don't get it at all. But so when things happen, we talk about it. We talk about, oh, this would be for, what would Joey be doing if he was here right now? I think he would be doing that in this, which helps keep him alive in our hearts and our minds, just in, through within our family or whatnot. And it kind of takes some of the sting away from it. With that, you still have some of those times where a picture will pop up unexpectedly,
sure.
or a video, or my 7-year-old will say or mention something, and it's like a dagger to the heart. And now we need to acknowledge that, and that yes, this still hurts, And yes, we are extremely sad about, what happened to him. And we can talk about this as much as you want to. But we're also going to talk about how wonderful he was, how much joy he brought into our lives. And we try to switch that narrative after giving it its moment in time, but we cannot stay in that. When I learned, apparently the Lord doesn't. Oh yeah, yes.
Go ahead. You
Okay.
learned apparently that it doesn't.
Yeah, the Lord will not allow me to just cry without stopping. Almost instantly now, if I'm starting to cry, the tears burn my face, my nose clogs up. I literally cannot breathe. It is either cry and die because you just can't breathe, or suck it up so you can get some air in, because you can't do both. I cannot dive into how deep the pain and that
Sure.
sore is and live. So yeah, I got to choose
My
one way
God.
or the other. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So the words that you use are, yeah, I can see why you are an author, because the words that you use, I just have not ever heard anyone use their words with such precision, very articulate, graceful, paint a very clear picture. Um,
Yeah.
I wanted to, and I wanted to ask. I know Miss Wanda, you have a question. I wanted to ask, and what did God, how did God surround you? Because you are used to being in a bubble of community.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
you grew up in a bubble of community, and so,
Hmm.
I was there. I wasn't the only
Hmm.
one that was there.
Right.
There were, you had so many people that just, love you, love the family, and were there.
Hmm.
You are Bishop's daughter, or what have you. And but
Hmm.
I remember
Hmm.
going to the house, and you being there, and just,
Hmm.
loving on you. But I've watched
Hmm.
God surround you. And so what did that
Hmm.
look like for you? How did that feel for you to have God just insulate you with a bubble of community?
Honestly, Tony, the overwhelming amount of love and support in people, it was just that. It was overwhelming, especially at this particular moment in my life, where all I wanted to do was to disappear, and there were eyes everywhere. All I wanted to do was be in a dark hole somewhere. Jay would often come and find me in the floor of my closet with the door closed, because I just wanted to be alone so I could cry and break down and just visit. Oh my goodness, depression is so welcoming. It is so warm to just close off and allow yourself to just be in
Mhm.
the abyss. Um, and so yeah, so it was a hard thing for me to do, because I'm now fighting with the everyone is watching. Yes, I don't want to perform for you. I don't want to cry for you. I feel
Mhm.
as if I'm crying now, then I'm doing it as a show instead of a genuine emotion.
Mhm.
So I won't cry, but my emotions want to cry. So it's like a whole thing that I had to try to maneuver through until I was able to learn how to communicate my own boundaries, because people will smother you with the love
Yeah.
because they love you, and it is such a wonderful thing, and it is so hard to say, Mary Sue, thank you, but stop calling,
Mm,
because
Mhm.
that hurts. Like,
Yeah.
and thank you so very much for bringing this, but this I can't look at on a regular basis, or whatever. It doesn't work for me or my personality, my personality. So
yeah,
it's a hard thing to have those conversations with people. Even still to this day, if I'm having a day or a moment and I don't want to verbally communicate and people call, I may hit them back and say that today is not a good day. to talk, but I can text you if you need something, type of a deal. Or this particular day, but basically Tia is closed for business at this moment in time. And it is amazing how people ignore that anyway. and
Mm.
a call and
Yeah.
it'll go off. And it's like, okay, I know they were like, no, let's just push through that because I know she really needs me. No, I really need people to listen. I when things along those lines happen like that, if I had to give any type of advice to anybody that's wanting to love on someone that's going through this, because you can make it harder on them, is please just follow their lead. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
the
all
thing.
of the tell me, well, just, yeah, all of those will tell me what you need or call me if you need. I'm not going to. I've never been a person that has, like I said, even when I had Dejan when I was 17, I'm grown enough, I can do this on my own. That is embedded in my personality. So no, I'm not going to call to say, I just want you to sit on the phone with me while I cry, or I'm not going to do those things. So please don't ask me to, because that's putting more on my plate. So now I have to figure out how I'm feeling and how I need to deal with it, and then assign you a task so you can also try to help me feel better. And it's just a lot more for me. My mom was telling me one of her friends basically gave a list of, these are the things that I'm able to help with. And it's like, oh, that is a beautiful thing. From now on, that is what I'm doing. Okay. So you're going through something. I can pick up groceries for you, or I can write a text message for you. Would you like me to do this? These 3 things are how I can help you, instead of just tell me what you need. And if you don't need any of those 3 things, all right, then good. I know that you're covered on the things that I can help with.
Yeah, I know. I remember her sharing something like that with me. And that's where I actually learned that as well, that I'm asking someone to tell me what they need, and they don't actually know what they need.
Yeah. Right.
And so it's difficult. I have Miss LaDonna Lee asked how much time has passed since you lost the little guy, Joey.
That was coming up on 3 years.
Awesome. And then, wisdom. I thank you, Ms. Deetra. Just please follow the lead of the person who is grieving. And yes, that is absolute wisdom. So go ahead, Ms. Wanda. I just want to know, there are 2 things we're going to cover. So that's why I said we're going to go over for show tonight, because
right.
because 9 and we just got the joy.
I don't have much. I don't have much. It was just some things that I jotted down. One of the things is exactly what Ms. Deetra said, was follow the lead of those that are grieving. And I think that's where we do a big disservice to our friends, because we want to feel good about serving them, but sometimes they don't know what they want. And if we just, even if you say, let me know what you need, leave it at that. And don't keep, and I'm just saying this even to myself, because I know for me, I'm always checking in, calling in, and now this is giving me perspective to just kind of fall back. Like, that person will let you know what they need. The other thing I wanted to say, Tia, is that I applaud the way that you have a healthy way of setting boundaries. Even with, I can't talk to you today, I can text you, or I can talk to you next week. Like, I really admire that about you. And a lot of us don't do that as well. We may feel obligated to continue to try and, act like everything is normal. And you give yourself that permission to give yourself a break. And I love that. And then one last thing is one of the most profound things that I've heard so far, and kind of scary at the same time, is depression is so welcoming. And how depression can be like this warm, like I always joke with myself that I feel like I need a Wade blanket at night to give me comfort to sleep better. And it's like, I feel when you said that, I can see someone putting on like a Wade blanket where they can just allow themselves to get lost in it. And if you're not careful, it'll swallow you up. Yeah. And so those were just on my little notepad, just some little things. So I'm sorry, Ms. Tony, go ahead and move forward. I'll continue to be a student over here.
No, and it's unpacked. principles, because sometimes we don't know. If in hindsight, you can't know a thing until in hindsight, and it takes looking back in the rearview mirror in order to see what it is that you missed, because you can't just look back and study while you're driving, you know.
Right.
So let's stop
Mm-hmm.
moving for a minute in order to reflect, and pull out some of the principles, because Tia, you are an extraordinary woman who has gone through some extraordinary things. Um, and you've kept moving forward in the midst of these extraordinary circumstances. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm going to fast track. That was almost 3 years ago. It was right before actually the pandemic,
Yeah.
not too
Mm-hmm.
far. hmm after
Mm-hmm.
the pandemic.
Yeah.
So now here we go. Let's talk about COVID.
Oh Lord. Yes. I work for the state. Right. I work for the state, and they offered some leave when it happened, and I took it, and I'm so grateful that I did. Right when COVID hit is when both my father and my mom caught it, and caught it bad. They were in the ICU where my dad was for about a week or so. They did not think that he was going to make it. My mom also caught it, ended up going into the hospital for a while, and then came back. But thank you God, they both made it out and made it home. But of course, they live together and they take care of one another. So during that time frame, they were unable to take care of themselves, let alone each other. Because when I say bad, I mean real bad. Like they had to have the breathing machine for my father. Could not talk. I don't know how to even describe how much of a daddy's girl that I am. And then when I call him, I don't get a "Hey Toonie." It's I, what do you do for that? I can't fix it. I can't, So I took the time off of work. I am um, doing the distance learning for 4 students. I had my 14-year-old son, his 13-year-old brother, my 12-year-old daughter, and 5 students. My Xavier, he was, I want to say, what, like 8 at the time or so, and then Jalen was in preschool. We turned our garage, our third garage, into a classroom and set it up to where they were all on different walls or whatnot, and trying to navigate all of these different grades, um, and help them with that. And at the same time, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I thank you, Lord, for the church people and the people that were loving on my parents. We were able to set up a routine schedule to where Billy would cook breakfast, and so I'm going. No one's going to the house. I'm going to protect the people. I'm also going to protect my parents. Um, so no one's going in and out but me. I have to go to there, pick up the food, take it to my parents' house, clean up whatever needs to be cleaned up, take care of them, address all of their type things, completely covered head to toe, and then leave out of there, go wash myself up or whatnot, and then go and pick up their lunch or their dinner, or which then the funny thing is they wasn't really eating it anyway. They was sick. They couldn't, but it needed to be there and available for us to continue to try. So yeah, that was 7 days a week, 3 meals a day, clean up after all or whatnot there, do the schoolwork here as well. And so that was my COVID experience, not knowing what I was going to get into. Every time I opened that door, mom passed out a couple of times. Like it was a whole, it was emotionally a lot, but you don't get to list all of the things when you're going through whatever the tragedy is, whatever the hardship that you're going through. That is not the time to stop and actually take a census of all the things that you have to do. You need to focus on what your next task is or what options you have available from you, and continue to do that. Because at any point in time, had I stopped to think about, I'm opening this door, my parents might not be there, you know, spiritually anymore, or I've got 70 different things and my children may be failing the class because I don't know how to do fractions like I should, and color these pages with her. it would be overwhelming, and then I would want to close down because I cannot take care of and do all of this. But instead, we make a schedule, and you just keep doing step from step to keep going forward. It's not until you're done then you get to look back and see what all you accomplished, what all you tried, what failed, and what did well.
So you are still navigating through the grief of the loss of your son. Um, you are navigating through COVID, and this new pandemic. You are homeschooling children that are now having to learn, and and you get to be their teacher, and the bishop and Lady Trina get COVID.
Yeah.
And this ain't like COVID, we catch it now, go to a Miss Wanda.
Yeah.
This is, it first came out, they don't know what to do or how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
so Lady Trina, and she shared openly and testified about some of their experiences, but her system was shutting down.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Yeah.
so we thought that we were losing our bishop, and we thought that we were
Mm-hmm.
losing our first lady. And Tia is
Mm-hmm.
having to get dressed, go in, tend to them, come out, strip down, wash completely up. And then, I mean, so all of these things, right, that are taking place. And so we said going into the house,
Mm-hmm.
and mom sometimes passed out, and not even be able to, how do you, and I'm asking this, but also I'm asking this from a posturing of knowing, because I can move when there's an emergency,
Mm-hmm.
but when my
Mm-hmm.
adrenaline comes, and so,
Mm-hmm.
um, so how do you keep moving forward when it's over and your adrenaline comes down, and you then actually feel in your nervous system everything that your body is really experiencing in real time, but you can't because you're dealing with
Mm-hmm.
a crisis.
Right. Once I get to a moment to where the emergency is not this right now, like something has to be done right now, I allow myself to feel it.
Okay.
So I cry, I scream, I yell, because we did a whole lot of hiking and stuff like that during the time. I absolutely love nature. You see, I'm outside now. I like, this is my happy place, being in the sun, letting it recharge my melanin, all of that wonderful stuff. You'll find me at work in the parking lot, laid up across my motorcycle or my truck or whatever, on the hood of it, just sunbathing on my break or my lunch if I can or whatnot, because I need that to recharge
Okay.
the light within me, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah.
So so that's when I would allow myself to absolutely break down, until
Hmm.
it was like, okay, Tia, now how long are you going to do this? Get up. Okay, now, oh, there's something else that needs to be done. Let's get up and let's
Hmm.
do, you know, something
So
else. But
you
you
give
got to feel
yourself
it, and you can't
permission.
keep just bottling it down. Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
So you give yourself
Yeah.
permission. I've told folks this now recently. Now that I've started a healing journey and I'm learning how to take care of myself, when I hit a peak, or to where I'm at capacity, I sometimes give myself
Hmm.
permission. Okay, so you know what? Yeah, I'd be like in my feelings. Oh, I feel like, okay, well,
Hmm.
all right, you get to go, and you're gonna pull the weighted blanket. You get 1 hour. And I said, really? And I set the
See,
alarm clock
right? Yeah. Okay.
hour, and
Uh-huh.
I closed the blinds
Hmm.
and all of that, and I lay down in my bed, and I pull the
Hmm.
blanket, and I let the tears flow.
Hmm.
Usually when I set the alarm clock and say
Hmm.
you have this long to do a thing, usually
Hmm.
it doesn't take that long. It's when I don't set a
That whole long
time.
time.
That's good.
It's when I don't
Hmm.
give myself permission, and then I try to stuff it, then it's
Hmm.
like, okay, you're not gonna give me space for this. Okay, I'm going to take.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Whew.
Also, what helps me pull it out as well is I will go and find a mirror, like, and stand, and I'll yell at it. cry through it, cry to all of the everything. But then seriously, how long are you going to sit there and look at yourself looking crazy like you are with the snot and all of the other things that's going on? I always end up laughing at how crazy I look, or like, this is ridiculous, whatever, and talk myself through it. But if I'm having a hard time and I am just spiraling further than what I should, go get in the mirror, because then again, that falls right back, at least within me. Am I crying for show, even though I'm the only one seeing it, or whatnot? Or is this no longer therapeutic for me? Because when it is therapeutic, I don't care if what I look like or what I'm going through or what's, or any of that stuff or whatnot. But it helps me pull myself back out again. Because you look crazy looking at yourself in the mirror crying, not doing nothing. So then it just, helps me get past that so I can do my next task.
Yes. So now I'm going to move us to earlier in our conversation. Tia, you said you said I have a brother. No, I had a brother. I have a brother. No, I had, and you kept going back and forth in that.
It's hard. Yeah, my brother passed away this past year, and we were not close. Like I said, I love him with every fiber of my being, and I loved him for who he was and who he was to me. And sometimes that was just a nobody, or not nobody, but not within my circle. But it's different, or it feels weird that he is no longer in the earth somewhere. Like I don't know. So it catches me up sometimes. We didn't talk. If we happened to be at the same family function, it was like, we'd been sitting with each other all year long for, sitting across the table from each other the entire time. But as soon as we parted ways, he had his life and I had mine. So I honestly think that helps a little bit now, because his passing didn't change my day-to-day routine or whatnot that I'm going through. It's just, times like this when I speak about my brother, or I'm playing his music or something along those lines. I love it. I play music at the DMV on my own speaker, and I often put some of his songs, in there or whatever. So I don't know, people that have never heard of Evergreen or my brother or whatnot, get to hear his voice and listen to his music and what he had to say. So that's part of how I cope with the fact that he is gone, and I can't, call him up and call him a name, and laugh about it or whatever, or send him a funny meme, whatever, like I would normally do.
Yeah, this is and I pulled you, Miss Wanda, in because, like I said, these two babies here, just some special, like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how it happened. I don't know when it happened. But it's that thing to where it's like a secret love that's so deep that don't nobody else know about. So like,
it's beautiful.
I can pick the phone and be like, Tia, and I know.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Beautiful.
And so it's been a lot. What I can say is this. And I can say it. I'm extraordinarily proud of you. I'm just so proud of the woman that you are, the woman that you have become. You are an extraordinary mother, an extraordinary wife, an extraordinary daughter. You're an extraordinary person. This thing wants to go off. Give me a second.
Thank you. Okay. And I feel like we're doing a high overview of events. I know we were talking about how to overcome tragedies between my brother passing and my son passing. The very next day after my son passed, my grandmother-in-law, whom I was close with, passed too, the very next day. So we had that. My husband was raised by his grandmother, and so she
Mm-hmm.
passed the very day after our son did. And if we're just counting down tragedies or whatnot, with my babies, my children, my adult daughter was living out in Bakersfield, and some crazy form of events, we're going to say it that way, her mother, her biological mother, ended up shooting her boyfriend, and killing him in front of her. I'm the first phone call, or that so have to leave and run out there and deal with all of that. Um, there was other tragedies that happened in during the whole 2020 COVID thing and the quarantine, trying to keep the family together and not completely loony. Because when we quarantined, we really did stay in the house. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, quarantine, that just means I didn't go out, but on the weekends." No, no, like I did not leave this house, especially my children, for I want to say almost a year. My children didn't leave the house, um, outside of going to the woods or somewhere that there were no more other humans or whatnot. And during that time frame, we had an incident where one of my children had to be removed from the home because of some choices that he made, in relates to my youngest daughter. And we worked through and dealt with that, as well. I don't like that. I don't like to list off everything because it seems to
Yeah.
be a bit much when you so, but
It is a lot, but you said something at the beginning. I thought I had jotted it down, but you said something about always seeing, and correct me, the glass half full, or basically just always having an
oh yeah, the silver
optimism,
lining.
even as the silver lining. And
Mm-hmm.
even as you're going through and listing these tragedies and things that have happened in such a compact amount of time, right? This hasn't been very long.
Yes.
It's just
No. Mm-mm.
2023. It
Over the past
hasn't
3 years.
been that long.
Right.
But for you to keep
Right.
standing, for you to keep going, for you to keep pushing, to keep having a smile on your face, to keep saying, you know
Mm-hmm.
what, God, we're going to get through this way, and to keep having healthy boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
and to just be sitting here sane and beautiful and healthy, and being able to
Oh,
share
hi.
your testimony. It's a testament to you, to your faith,
Mm-hmm.
to your upbringing, to that bubble, to all of those things, that you can still
Mm-hmm.
keep going in the midst of all of those tragedies and all of those things. And I just know that whoever is watching, because I'm myself, I'm just like, man, the strength of you. And Tony talked about when a black woman speaks, but when a black woman stands, in her power, and all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden, she's got the strength, and it's not the strong black woman. It's something different.
Right.
It's
Right.
the
That's the difference.
strength.
Yeah.
It's this inner strength that you have that
Mm-hmm.
keeps you going. It's not a front.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a fake. You take your
Right.
time when you need it, but you allow that
Mm-hmm.
inner strength to just exude through. And I
Yeah.
just want to say
Yeah.
thank you for sharing, all that
Thank you.
you've gone through, and just, being open to sharing this with other people, because there's so many
Mm-hmm.
people that are struggling, that are in that blanket of, I'm now, that depression analogy is just going to stick with me, but there are people that are
Let's see.
not using their
Mm-hmm.
timer, right? Another amazing thing,
Yeah.
that are just
Yeah.
allowing themselves to be, and just saying it'll pass, but sometimes you have to do something to make it
Mm-hmm.
pass, to let it pass. You have to take that first step,
Right.
and it sounds like that's what you were doing, Miss Tia. And I'm
Yeah.
super, just grateful to be in this space to hear firsthand
Well, thank
your
you.
testimony.
So here's
Thank
how
you.
I want to wrap up this conversation this evening. So Tia, how old are you?
I'm 39.
And
Almost
before we
40.
came, and I asked right before we started, I said, "How old are you?" And I said, but I asked then, "How old do you feel your lived experiences are?" And your response was,
Like mid 60s.
"Yeah."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like an old lady. Yeah.
Now, here's the question.
Not that mid-60s are old. Sorry, people that are in their mid-60s. They're fine.
Just clarify. Just clarify.
Here's what it is. So here's the question, and I've asked questions like this before, so it probably won't shock you. But now, knowing what you know these 39 years, sweetheart, and having the life experiences of someone who is probably in their mid 60s or 70 years old, what would you say to your 17-year-old self?
Mm.
What would you tell her? I want you to see her.
Mhm.
I want you to see her. She's
I would tell
pregnant.
her. Mhm.
Hmm.
I
What
tell
would
her
you tell her?
that she defines herself. That she does not have to live up to anyone else's expectations but her own. And knowing that she is me, I know her expectations are already high, so that's that's an okay thing. But I would tell her to always, you got to fight for your peace, because that's the only thing that anybody ever wants to take from you. And if you don't actually guard it, then they will take pieces when you're not looking, and then just blatantly rob you, or whatnot. If you can, it's not something that comes. It's just like you were saying, just be with it and let it pass. Nothing just passes. Only time.
Mm-hmm.
That is literally the only thing that just passes is time. Everything else you need to push. So, like,
Yeah.
and if you fall, we'll get up again.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. That's about it.
Good. That's good. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Fight for your peace. That's the only thing everybody's trying to take from you. Ooh, wait a minute. Ooh, I felt that. Only thing everywhere.
That's it. That's what they want.
Yeah.
Just
That's
trying
true.
to take from you. Girl, I'm having a hot flash. That right there was
Ooh, yeah.
oh my God.
That's good stuff.
And the only thing that is going to pass is time.
Yeah.
Tia, beloved. Ooh, that's that 65-year-old woman, and you just dropped some wisdom and spoke to my spirit for real.
Okay. Blessing.
So I did. I told you I'm proud of you. I am.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
I can tell you I love you a million times, but I believe you know.
I do know it. Yes.
Yes, I do. I love you for real. I'm so blessed, and I thank you for just being here and saying yes. Um, I mean, I didn't expect you to not say yes to me because I don't
Right.
ask you.
Like hardly anything ever. I know, right?
But when I ask,
Right. Okay.
listen, Miss Wanda, I don't ask for much, but when I do,
She asked for the world. Huh?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
but you know what? I mean, I know it's like there's so much, and there's so much that's in you. You have so much, and you're a beautiful soul and a beautiful person.
Thank you.
And yes, I love all the silver linings, all of that. And you have been through some extraordinary things, and it's just so much. And so I love you. I thank God that you are part of my life, and I'm so blessed that that I just get to know you, that I got to know Jabari. Like I can say this, and I'm coming from a very sincere place when I say this. If knowing you guys and loving you guys was the reason for everything that I've ever experienced during my time, it was worth it. It has been worth it. I
That's a lot.
wouldn't give it
Thank you.
back. I would not return it.
So you
No
try to
exchange.
make me cry. Thank you.
No
Thank you.
exchange. I mean, for real,
I
for
love
real.
you.
Yeah. All right, baby girl. you go and unwind and spend some quality time with your family. And thank you once again for joining us on this anti-Black conversation, sharing how you keep moving forward. Um, and y'all tap in this Sunday. Who is with me this Sunday, Miss Wanda? Is it you? Let me see. Let me
It's
see.
me.
All right.
Tia, pray for me. Pray for me, Tia.
Tap in with us this Sunday at
Yes.
at 6 p.m. y'all, because I have the honor. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna see if I can find somebody to help me.
See?
I have the honor of walking through life with Miss Wanda.
Yes.
All right, y'all.
All
So we
right,
will see
y'all.
y'all Sunday at 6 p.m. In the meantime, y'all keep it real. Peace and blessings. I love
Peace,
you.
y'all.
Thank